Let me bring in former House Speaker and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. He is also the author of the New York Times bestseller, To Save America, Stopping Obama's Secular Socialist Machine. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Speaker. And let me begin with something that Speaker Pelosi told Christiane Amanpour yesterday. She said that she's not at all nervous about the midterms. Should she be?
Well, I think that her style may be to not be nervous, but with 9.5% unemployment, with a majority of Americans wanting to repeal Obama's health care plan, with a majority of Americans favoring Arizona over the Obama administration on immigration, with a majority of Americans opposing a mosque at ground zero, with a majority of Americans feeling that the stimulus failed and that the Democratic Party increasingly is the party of job killers. I think that that's what's going to be the key this fall. The American people, I mean, Speaker Pelosi was right when she said this will be an election about big choices. The problem is, I think that a San Francisco liberal doesn't represent the majority of Americans when they make that big choice. You
listed a lot of poll numbers there, but I wonder what makes you nervous, because some other polls show some warning signs, at least, for the Republican Party. Going back to 1994, when you led the Republicans to victory, the favorability of the Republican Party was 63%. It's only 37% now, and our own polling shows that voters are preferring Democratic ideas generically to Republican ideas on a lot of big issues like the economy. Doesn't this suggest that the Democrats' effort to turn this into a choice between Republicans and Democrats, not a referendum on President Obama, might succeed in holding down losses?
Well, I think they should try to turn it into a choice. The danger they have is that it depends what the choice is. If the choice is, do you want taxes to go up next year? I think you'll find that they lose that debate. If the choice is, do you think 9.5% unemployment is a sign Democrats have been job killers? Remember, Pelosi and Reid have been in charge of the Congress since January of '07. So they're defending a 4-year record in which the economy collapsed, all of it under their watch. The deficits have gone up under their watch. You have to ask people about that $3.8 trillion, to quote the number on Governor Palin's hand. Do they want that kind of deficit increase? The answer is no. And so I think that I'd be happy for the Democrats to make this a choice election. I don't think they can do that. I think in the end they have to attack the Republicans relentlessly. And frankly, in 2006, Republican senators found out that that technique did not work. Republicans lost 6 out of 6 close elections, just as I think Senator Reid has to go home and explain why, with 14.5% unemployment, the highest in the country, Nevada should reelect him.
So you think Democrats are going to lose the House?
I think the odds are very high they'll lose the House. I think they're going to lose an amazing number of governorships with people like John Kasich and Meg Whitman and Scott Walker. And I think that they are very possibly going to be either slight majority or lose the majority in the Senate, depending on a handful of races in places like California with Carly Fiorina.
Let's talk about one of the issues you raised, tax cuts. Of course, a big battle looming over whether or not to renew some of the tax cuts first proposed by President Bush. Yesterday, over the weekend, Alan Greenspan said that all of them should be allowed to expire. As you know, the president wants the tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans to expire as well. Are you willing, I know you want to extend all the tax cuts, but in order to do something about the debt and deficits, are you willing to tie the extension of the tax cuts to some kind of specific long-term commitment to reduce the debt and reduce the deficit?
Look, as you know, George, for 4 years I helped balance the federal budget, and we paid off $405 billion in federal debt while cutting taxes. It was done by controlling spending. I don't think this president will control spending. I don't think the Democrats in the House and Senate will control spending. So they want the right to run up the biggest credit card in history, more than any teenager in America, and then turn around and tell the rest of us we have to pay for their credit card. I'd say if they'd let us control spending, we could work out a possibility of having tax cuts continue while controlling spending. But I think to raise taxes on people who create jobs in the middle of a 9.5% unemployment rate is frankly crazy. It is going to increase the number of unemployed Americans, because the people the president's talking about, his wealthiest Americans, are the people who create jobs, are the small business owners and they're not going to hire anybody when their taxes go up.
You're willing to cut spending, but you're not willing to have some kind of a deal where you specifically tie the spending cuts to the tax extension of the tax cuts. Let me ask you one final question, because we're just about out of time. I know you've spoken about the possibility of running for president now in 2012. You made similar sounds in 2006 and 2007, and then decided not to run. Why should we take you seriously this time?
You don't need to. We'll find out next February or March. Calista and I will meet with our family and make a decision. But I do think this is a very different environment, and I think the level of radicalism that President Obama represents offers a very different range of choices for the American people in 2012.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. You and your wife also have a new DVD out called 9 Days That Changed the World. You can find that on the web. Thanks very much.